So I'm back with my caps saying, what's up, chaps? Called a rap on these raps, but I've had a hip-hop relapse. Not Snoop, not Dizzy, not Dr. Dre. I'm MC Matty H here to rap the Malaga way, because no need to diss me. Let's have some ole, 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 as we're back in the Segunda and we're here to stay. So Malaguistas, don't be beleaguered, because Malaga back from the well and now in the pro leagues here with Pellicer's young team. There's enough to intrigue you. 2 months since I was at Gymnastic, where at one point things were looking pretty fucking drastic, but our boys weren't a goner as Malaga leaped up against Tarragona like a 1986 handball in Maradona, because we got playoffs wrapped up like a tasty burrito with that last gasp goal from our young hero Antonito. So the Segunda we go to fight like Raging Bull Robert De Niro. So here I am, recording up north of Galicia to throw verbals at Ferrol because we want to take a piece of you, because we're the boys from the Costa del Sol and we're going to bring the fear here. So let's cheer, because when I say vamos, you say Malaga. Vamos.
Malaga.
Malaga.
Vamos.
Malaga.
Malaga.
Vamos.
Malaga.
Malaga.
Vamos, Malaga and Forza Los Blanquiazules back in the Segunda, and we're the cool kids here. Welcome back to the boys, like our goalie Don Alfonso, a man who gets across the goal faster than prime Fernando Alonso, Manu Molina, a midfield schemer whose clinical passing can take oppos to the cleaner, hopefully setting up goals for our new boy, Rocco Baturina. Plus, of course, there's my boy compared to any other Malaguista. I think he's dreamier. His first name's Kevin and his second name's Medina. But that's just some of our heroes from the Malaga squad. But let's give some love to our new season of this superb podcast, Geary Cast, a cast full of Gearys, got more Malaga knowledge than an AI army of series, offering hot takes like Nando's extra hot piri piris. Geez Louise, I'm getting carried away, so stop me, please. My optimism and boastful nature can spread through me like a disease. But new season, new Malaga, this feeling is hard to cease. But come and join us, come take a pew, and let's get into the season where everything's anew and dive into this first Malaga Geary Cast preview, cause we got Nick Bell here, ding-a-ling-a-ling, and Malaga's praises he likes to sing-a-ling. Man's got more kits than a kit man, and let me introduce you to another Geary Cast hitman. His enthusiasm will adore. Puppy dog energy, our podcast Labrador. He ain't subtle or discreet, not a Harry Potter Chambers of Secrets. He's our Chamber of Luke, whose knowledge is concrete, but we call him Luke Chambers to make a podcast lineup complete. Well, sort of, because let me self-greet, as last but not least, hosting this podcast fleet, this team, this troop, this garrison. It's the Welsh Geary. My name is Matt Harrison. So shut the fuck up, Matt. Cut this silly rap crap and end this at last. And just say the line. You've delayed it for the 2 minutes just past. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Geary Cast. That was my long way.
That is fantastic. Fantastic.
That was my long way of saying welcome to the Geary Cast, part of the Sports Social Podcast Network. I am indeed Matt Harrison, and joining me today are Nick Bell, coming from the Costa del Sol.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
I'm absolutely smashing, mate. How are you?
I'm very good. I am at the other side of Spain to you, just outside Ferrol, in the lovely town of Betanzos, I think is how you say it. I meant to double check that, Betanzos. But yeah, I'm very good. Just a disclaimer, don't expect me to rap every week again. I thought I'd bring it back as a treat. It's a treat.
For everyone.
Yeah, everyone enjoyed that. Luke, you were not in the Costa del Sol, you're in the Costa del Don. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Unfortunately, not down the Costa del Sol, but pleasure speaking to you chaps out in Spain right now.
Yes, indeed. So obviously this is our preview show. For anyone new joining us, we will be doing or attempting to do 2 shows a week, which will be a review of the game we've just played. Of course, we have not played a game yet, and a preview of the game we are going to play. So the main focus of today's pod is to talk about our game against Racing Ferrol. But, you know, as usual, we'll do a bit of news and other bits first. You guys asked me after you guys recorded the preview show last week, which I thought was excellent, by the way. Very much enjoyed listening to it when I was out running in, where was I then? I can't remember. I've lost track of where I've been. Saying Valladolid.
Ponferrada, I think.
It was in Ponferrada, correct. For those that don't know, I'm sort of traveling around northern Portugal and northern Spain. It's the longest, slowest trip anyone's ever made to an away game, I think.
It does seem like you've been there forever, Matt. It really does.
Well, it was funny when I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh shit, I'm going back to work in 2 weeks. And it was indeed shit. So I just thought I'd give my predictions because I know you guys had the sort of nice graphics and stuff. So I'll just throw mine out there quickly. I don't think I had anything radically different to what you guys went with. I've got Almeria and Cadiz top two. I've got Almeria to win the league. I just think they've got the best team. My playoffs are Racing, Castellón, Eibar, and Levante. And I'm going Racing to win the playoffs. I've just got it's a vibe more than anything. I just think they seem to be on the up always. Yeah, I don't know. And I like Jose Alberto Lopez. I would have loved him to be Malaga manager maybe, but
You see, it's quite interesting as well because all three of us in the call tonight all put Castellón in our playoff picture down. So it's like there is a genuine relief that, as you say, similar to Racing, everything is just up and up with Castellón at the minute. They are just predicted to fly up there, aren't they, and bounce through this league.
Yeah. When you look back at where Jose Alberto actually saved Racing, wasn't he, and then took them on to bigger and better things last season.
Yeah, and I should say, by the way, I came up with this ranking order, and then I listened to the Spanish Segundas preview show, and they did sort of make me consider some things. I thought, no, I'm not going to change my mind. So if you want a better, more rounded view of Segunda and predictions, go and listen to the Spanish Segundas preview shows that they did too. Yeah, I don't know. It's a vibe about Racing for me. My relegation teams, again, I think I've pretty much got the same as what you guys went with. I got, in no particular order, I've got Eldense, Cartagena, Huesca, and Mirandés, who I think will finish bottom. I can't remember it. I think that's pretty much what you guys went with, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we had all the same ones, just in different orders, really, didn't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
I didn't realise, by the way, Eldense have former Cardiff City midfielder Victor Camarasa, which I thought was quite fun. And I've sort of gone in the middle of all of you guys with Malaga. I've gone 14th. To be honest with you, I sort of went 13th, and I just don't like the number 13, so I pushed us to 14th. My sort of prediction with Malaga is I think we're going to have a good start and then maybe slide away a little bit and then recover. And my other prediction, by the way, is we'll finish 14th, and no matter what happens, Sergio Pellicer will leave at the end of the season with his head held high. And then I really enjoyed, by the way, I probably enjoyed more your chat about players you're excited about. So I'll do my three very quickly. I guess my number one was what Luke picked. And I got very excited when he said it because I sort of forgot that Santi Cazorla was still playing for Oviedo because I sort of just assumed he'd retire. And I was like, oh, no, he's still there. So the three I wrote down, well, I sort of did them in my head when I was running, and I sort of had to double check one was still in the league. The first one that came to my mind was a former Malaga player, one of my favourites, a fellow Marbella boy, Christian, who's at Eibar, who was obviously excellent for us in our relegation season. I really, really like him. Got to see him play for Eibar when I was at Racing Santander v Eibar at the start of last season, but I really, really like him. I think Luke I can't remember, it might have been, I think it was Luke that highlighted this in our WhatsApp group. Jetro Williams, that's gone to Castellón, who I seem to remember, and I meant to double check. I don't think he's the youngest Dutch player to ever play in the Champions League or Europa League. I don't know if that's been beaten. And I remember Man United was linked with him, and he was always really good. And obviously he went to Newcastle, was quite good. I always liked him. So it's mad that he's at Castellón, but also not mad because they buy lots of Dutch players. And the other name I wrote down is the one I had to double check was I always really, really liked Luis Suarez, the one that played for Granada. and is now at Almeria, the Colombian, not the Uruguayan. He has not jumped down to our level.
I was going to say, I missed that one.
I can't remember. I've seen him play live. It must have been Granada. Every time I've seen him play, I always think he's brilliant. And I don't know if he's gonna, like, I think on the Spanish Segunda preview show they mentioned he might go, but I always really, really liked him. And yeah, my honourable mention was going to be Kaide Barre, because he was the first good Malaga player I saw in the first game I went to, who's gone to Zaragoza. But yeah, I enjoyed all your choices as well. It made me think, oh yeah, it's a really, really fun league. Just quickly, I did send you guys a message. Perhaps we'll do this here. There was an article in Marca today, so we're recording on the Thursday before Malaga's game on Saturday. So I did ask you guys a little quiz question, which, I didn't have the opportunity to try and work out. I just read it. So the easier, well, not easier, because it's still quite difficult. I'll go to you first, Luke, because I know you actually text an answer. How many of the 22 teams in Segunda have played in the top flight of Spain before?
Right, so I went with 16. I had a quick look at the league, tried to tick a few off, and I came with a number of 16.
Okay. Nick, do you want to challenge 16, or are you going to go with 16 too?
I saw Luke's message and I thought the exact same when I went through the league, but I think there's some red herrings there, some teams that you think would have been in La Liga but haven't. So I'm going to go a little bit lower and go for 12.
Oof. Okay, well, very much our winner there is Luke Chambers, who was one out.
Damn it.
The answer is 17, and I'm quickly scrolling to find, there you go, the 5 that haven't been in the top flight are Burgos, Eldense, Ferrol, Mirandés, and Cartagena. Then the harder question of,
the hard meaning impossible.
Well, we'll see. Between the 22 teams in Segunda, I suppose the 17 I've just said, how many seasons do they have between them in the top flight? So, Luke, do you want to repeat what you put in our WhatsApp group?
Well, I went with absolutely no backing or no confidence whatsoever. I've put 309 years based on a couple of them famous clubs being there a long, long time. But I do believe that's way out.
We're a football podcast, Luke, so it's seasons. We don't work in years.
Yeah.
Nick, do you any?
I couldn't even put my hat on this one, but I think a few of those teams in there are flash in the pans type teams, especially after some of the books I've been reading recently. None of the stalwarts have come down, I believe. So I'm going to go a bit more reservedly and say more around 170.
Oh, wow. Actually, I was quite impressed, Luke. You weren't a million miles off again. And I should caveat this. I did say whoever gets the closest, I will buy a pint in Morrissey's or drink of your choice. The answer is 385. So you're in the
really?
I'll take that.
Hell.
So you're in the right century with your guess, Luke. Yeah, because I guess basically the point we're trying to make here is that people are calling this, as you guys did on your preview show last week, the greatest Segunda season ever in regards of names and things like that. So yeah,
that's fucking mental.
Yeah, but I guess like teams like Depor, they must have 50 or 60, and Zaragoza must have a lot, and Sporting Gijon must have a lot. So yeah, to me it seemed a bit of a surprise at first, but there must be 5 or 6 of them in there which have loads.
Oviedos.
Yeah, to be honest with you guys, I would not have known where to guess. I literally just read the article and just saw it. So
that was the thing I thought, because you look at it and go, yeah, we know that there's been teams in there that have had their days in the sun, but none of them have had massively long periods. So certainly from what I've read, but just 385 is just a mental amount.
You know what would be quite cool with this? You put these numbers together and you make a little podcast out of this, maybe. That could be a cool idea.
Well, so yeah, it'd be interesting who has the most. My feeling would be it must be Zaragoza or Sporting.
Yeah, I'm going Zaragoza.
I'd say Zaragoza. Yeah.
But yeah, maybe try and when one of you are talking later, I might try and Google that. Let's talk a bit more about Malaga, because obviously, we've not been in the top flight for a few years now. But we're back in the Segunda. We're happy to be there. We've just had our pre-season. Played our last pre-season game, or a few days ago now, against Cordoba. Obviously, we're one of the better teams in our league last year. Well, the second best team, technically. We played them in La Linea in Bologna Stadium. We won 2-0. Luke, that good?
Yeah, so I watched the highlights. You can definitely see that the pace has upped from the previous friendlies against Almeria and Al Jazeera. The team looked very sharp, but you can't take too much from friendlies other than the most important thing. It's minutes on the pitch, team cohesion and everything.
Yeah, because I can't remember off the top of my head. It was what looked like what would be our, close to a starting 11 for the start of the season, yeah?
Yeah, I won't say a million miles, maybe the odd one or two, but I mean, in your last friendly, your manager generally is chucking out his first 11 and working around that, I'd say.
Nick, did you catch up on this friendly at all, or any thoughts on it?
Very much with what you and Luke were just saying there. It's the result is obviously interesting, considering that they were pretty much the pace setters for Castellón last season, especially towards the end of it. They're a very good team themselves, but obviously have picked up a lot of new players, Corda. But that was something I did know. We've only managed to bring 4 players, and I think they're into the realms of nearly 8 or 9. Including one of our own in Canaro. So an interesting result. I was more impressed with the stadium, to be fair. Obviously, this is a long time coming stadium. A very interesting place to be, really. I can't quite remember the name of it, but I might try and go down there this Saturday. I think is it Real Linese, Balonque, or whatever they're called?
Bologna.
I think they played Ceuta last night, and they got Estepona this weekend. So I fancy that. But as I said before we came on air, I've proposed a few scenarios to Bex whilst I'm on this family holiday. One being, can I fly to Santiago to go to Ferrol? No chance. Can I go to Cadiz on Friday night to watch Cadiz against Real Zaragoza? Met with some objections. So maybe La Linea might be the one that finally gets through.
Yeah, in my notes, I've got 2 things written down. I've just written Alfonso Herrera is still great, because he seemed to make a couple of amazing saves in that friendly again, which is reassuring. And yeah, the other thing is, I went to Linense's old ground, and it's one of my favorites ever been to in Spain. So I was a little bit worried about that stadium being renovated, but it looks amazing. It looks really like it's got some of the character that the old ground had, and just looks a bit neat and tidier.
There's some stadiums which have got iconic views from them as well. And obviously I know there is a bit of a geopolitical issue around this, but the fact you can see the Rock of Gibraltar from the stadiums, a very
fantastic. Yeah, it looked beautiful.
Well, that's I'm sure you guys, you both like your football grounds and stuff, and have seen articles of, top 20 grounds you must visit before you die. And Gibraltar's ground's always in there. And I don't really find it that interesting, a football ground, apart from it's up against this big rock. Whereas I think La Linea or Linense's ground, it's back far enough away that you've got a proper view of the rock. I think it's a much more beautiful ground.
I think the crazy thing what you see with the Victoria Stadium in Gibraltar is the fact that you all know that I like my aeroplanes, I guess. You've got a runway basically 30 yards away from the back of the net, which I remember watching Celtic in a Champions League qualifier years ago, and then you've got like an EasyJet just taking off from the goalkeeper.
It was Brendan Rodgers' first ever competitive game.
It was.
They lost.
Obviously, one for Alex Ashmore as well. It's the new parish of Jack Harper. He's just signed down there for the season,
which I didn't know about. And our friend of the podcast, Les, is already tweeting propositions to Jack Harper with which I think is going to make Alex very jealous. Back off, Les. I should say, by the way, the Linense ground, I think you can. It's pretty much the other side of the runway, so you can still watch EasyJet flights.
Oh, I'll have to go then.
Yeah, that's great. And
to visit for Luke sorted. Two birds, one stone for you, Luke, isn't it?
Come on, Laura. Come on, love.
The linear it gets a bad reputation. I think I've probably mentioned on the podcast before that the documentary La Linea is a bit mad. That's on Netflix. But it's a brilliant place for like a night out. It's a mad little place. But and Gibraltar's a bit mad too. Anyway, I suppose that sort of leads us in nicely to our next bit. Speaking of La Linea, which is next door to Gibraltar, which is the UK, we can perhaps mention watching Segunda outside of Spain. Like you guys are in WhatsApp groups with me. I think you guys have your finger on the pulse a lot more than me with this. I can't keep up. Basically, my understanding is you won't be able to watch Segunda on La Liga Plus or YouTube next year. Where are we at? Have we worked something out by now?
Well, the story goes back to a couple. Well, was it a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? And they said, "Oh, by the way, you can watch Segunda on YouTube free outside of Spain." And we're all sat there thinking, "Nice." Luke's texting me rapidly saying, "What about the live stream? What about the live stream? How are you going to do both?" And I said, "Luke, let's just calm it down. Let's just look at the good side of things. We can do both. It's fine." But then that was pulled straight away and said, no, actually, we lied. We're not putting it on YouTube. We'll let you know what we're going to do with it. And 2 days ago, they've just said, oh, it's with the right holders, whoever holds La Liga, the top league in those particular countries. So in the UK, for example, it's Premier Sports and ITV have got the rights to La Liga. And neither of them are going to be bothered about putting Segunda football on, are they? They barely put the big games on in Spain. So it's disappointing, really disappointing, and such a lack of sight from La Liga, who are daring to even come up against the idea of, going head to head with British football, both the Premier League and the EFL, in terms of viewing numbers and followers on social media, but they can't even fucking get the product out to the people abroad. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I suppose the EFL's taken that big leap this season, hasn't it? With it sort of, I don't know what they call it. It's called, it's like a red button thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like an extension in it where you can basically watch bottom of League Two team. If you support, I don't know, whatever team, if you support bottom of League Two, you can watch them 20 times in a season. I think the most frustrating thing about all this is the season kicks off tonight. This announcement came out last night, and it's not just Malaga who's been affected by this. Obviously, there's a big Segunda community across socials, and I think a lot of people are left scrambling. But the one thing is, a lot of people are pulling together and trying to find ways. And I assure everybody, we will find a way, whether that be legal or not.
I was going to say, like, don't tell me how you're going to find it.
I'm not. There's a lot of words being chucked about and a lot of letters, which I don't know what the bloody mean. So I'm waiting for somebody to, at the end of this, just say, yeah, we've got it.
Yeah, I've managed to pull some money together for that.
Some people are going to very promising networks.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull some resources together, get some cash into this, buy Matt a hat with a GoPro on it, and then pay for all his travel and accommodation to away games, and we'll watch it that way. Just live stream it.
Not to jump ahead too much, but like obviously I am going to the Ferrol game in 2 days' time. I've paid for a ticket, and they've still not told us whether we have to collect the ticket from the club, if it's going to be emailed to us. It's I only paid for the ticket yesterday. I only got told. So yeah, this is classic Spanish football scrambling together.
And I think that's a quote what we're going to be using a lot this season. Classic Spanish football, classic Segunda.
Yeah.
We all love Spain, don't we? And you hear these stereotypes sometimes around, like, workers who, builders who turn up, do the job, and then they clock off for a siesta, and then they don't come back again, and it takes ages to get a job done. These usual horrible stereotypes that I certainly don't believe. But then when you look what they do in Spanish football, you go, that's what they must be doing. There is no other logical explanation as to how someone goes to work and their job is to make sure that these rights for the game that they're going to be streaming anyway, they're doing it anyway. All one bloke has to do, or one woman has to do, is say, right, who wants these? Who gives me the highest offer? Oh, yeah, we'll tell you what. If you're going to give us £100,000, yeah, we'll take it. Look at it. Go on. It's being done anyway. So how hard can it be just to get somebody in the UK? Tell you what, we'll do it. Let's clobber together 80 quid, bid to La Liga, and say we'll stream it. We'll put it on the Givicast and see what happens.
Do you remember Primera Federación? Oh, I love that league.
I love Primera. Do you remember when they knocked together a streaming platform in a week?
Yeah.
How good was that?
Basically, for us, who just sent a tweet to him every now and again. Can you remember the Vince McMahon meme where he's like looking and like, those were the days.
Yeah, and that fixture list they just rolled out 6 months in advance. Dreamy days. Let's just get relegated. I take it back. I don't want to. It was much easier last year. Less travel. Anyway, let's move on to the actual
it was
team.
Perfect.
Yeah. Anyway, at the moment, we talked. You guys talked last week about the signings we made, like Luis, me, Rocco, other people who I've forgotten. Pastor. Who's the other one I've forgotten? I feel as
Lobete,
who is the coolest one of them, I think. Actually,
very cool.
So there's been a little more transfer news. Luke, you were sort of one that seemed to be most excited about our links to Carlos Fernandez purely because apparently he was good on Football Manager. Do you want to add anything on that?
Football Manager never lies. We all know that. But so he's a striker. I'm not going to pretend I know everything about him, but he was very, very highly thought of in coming through the ranks at Seville. He played 16 games in La Liga for them. He was a prolific goal scorer throughout the academies, which we've kind of been there with somebody before, and that didn't work. But reading into it since then, he had a successful loan spell at Deportivo La Coruña in this division as well, which then led him to another loan spell at Granada. However, that one was in La Liga, where he did score 10 goals in 34 games. So to me, that's a fantastic turnout. Since then, he got a move to Real Sociedad, where he's been very much a fringe player for the last 3 seasons, but still making 45 appearances in La Liga. So again, his experience is key. A striker is what we need. And for me, I really, really hope we can get this one over the line.
You've sold it to me, actually. When I saw the stats that you shared with us the other day, they didn't jump out to me as much. But when you put it like that with a bit more context, then I'm up for
the experience is key, isn't it? The experience to bring a former La Liga player into the team.
To be honest with you, I think it was just the name Carlos Fernandez didn't excite me.
Well, you've got to remember as well with his time at Real Sociedad, he's got into a club who have got, a plethora of great strikers as well, whether it was 3 seasons or 2 seasons back, there was Sorloth who was on fire. They've obviously got Umar Sadiq in there, who we all know from our last time in Iaramendi. Is that I can never say his name. Ozabayal, or the chap who scored in the Euro Cup final, basically. I can never say his name. But they've got good pedigree, haven't they? You know what I mean? So it's hard to break into that team. So, must be a player in there, to do what he's done in La Liga for some other sides as well.
Yeah.
He may have a little bromance with Kubo as well. Could bring him down to Rosaleda to watch a game.
Yeah. Well, Kubo missed out last year, didn't he? Because he was at the Asian Cup when we played them in the Copa del Rey.
I wonder if he played last season against us in the Cup. Thinking about it.
I don't remember his name, but his name's Carlos Fernandez. We've probably played against 10 Carlos Fernandezes. Other names,
very much a La Liga regen name, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Juan Spanish man.
Pedro, you're a good player.
I think you guys might have covered this a little bit last week, but I just had a quick look again today at links, and it's Lago Junior and Ramani still being linked. To be honest with you, I listened to your preview and I was all for Lago Junior, and I think Luke mentioned his age, which surprised me, and that I didn't realize he was quite as old as he is. Because I thought he was excellent when we got relegated, but not. How old do you say he was? 34, 35?
34, 34, which
surprised me a lot.
He was good with us, but he's a journeyman 34-year-old. Is that the answer, what we're looking for? I'd like to think there's something else there for us.
Because I like Romani. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's got unfinished business in Malaga. I think I might have said on the podcast before that it's I don't know if it's a position we really need to cover that much, to be honest with you, but I feel if he played in front of a La Rosaleda crowd, he looked like the sort of player that'd feed off it a bit more. And obviously he played in the sort of crowdless COVID season, and I don't know, I just feel like there was a connection. Weirdly, like he was a bit of a fan favorite when there's no fans there. So I'd be
even when he came back, didn't he? When we played against Ibar at La Rosaleda the season, we got relegated, and he was, obviously he ended up on the score sheet as well, didn't he? But
he just wiped him out when he was through on goal.
yeah. But he's clearly a player that thrives on that kind of atmosphere. And again, not to throw rocks at Ibar, but it's not the Ipurua isn't the biggest stadium in the world, so it's not always going to be the same kind of atmosphere you're going to get in front of 26,500 Malaguistas. But even when he went on loan to Tenerife last year, again, it's not known for its atmosphere, is it? And again, that's not a pelter for them. It's just not one of them. So, if he was to come here and be the main man, let's not forget, because if he was to come here, he's coming back with a much higher pedigree and be the star player, then I think, he'd be invaluable to us.
Yeah, I loved him when he was there the first time. I know, like, just reading between the lines, I get the impression he's been very hit and miss since, and perhaps even a little more miss. But yeah, there's something about him I just feel fits. I can't quite put my finger on it. But
he'll feel cheated himself, having been here during the COVID times, wasn't he? He never got to experience the full fury of the crowd.
And I'm sure he's fairly local. I can't remember, because that season we signed a lot of players that had like. When
you say local, listen, sounds Moroccan.
Oh no, he's born in France.
Wow. I might click that.
Whereabouts on the whereabouts on the Costa del Sol? Champigny-sur-Marne.
Yeah.
A restaurant called that in somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know why, but no, I think it was because that season we signed so many people, so many players which had links to that, like Andalusia and Malaga. Just figured he might be one as well. Apologies to the people of
Champigny-sur-Marne.
He's one of yours. Anyway, let's go look forward to our upcoming game.
Just to make this more fun from you, I just had a quick Google where that from. It's closer to England than it is to Morocco or to Malaga or even to yeah. He's practically from Donny, this boy.
Just adding to that, guys, as well. Carlos Fernandez did play against Malaga in the cup. He came on at half time and he got booked on the 48th minute.
Must have been memorable.
And he did nothing.
Just sat in Aaron Achor-Maloney's back pocket, yeah.
But remember the stats. Remember the stats.
Let's look ahead to our upcoming game then. I did sort of throw it in there as a nice question. Obviously, it's the first away game of the season, and I know you two have expressed that you want to go to a few more away games this year. So I did just put in the agenda. If you had to pick 3 trips to do this season, what would they be? Nick, do you want to give a bucket list?
Yeah, Dayport away at Riazor. I think not just because it's obviously a big stadium and 2 big clubs going head to head. I'm really keen to start visiting the north of Spain after not just seeing what you are up to, but also a few other people that I follow online as well. So it feels like, I know the Costa well. I'm fancied seeing some other places. That being said, my second choice is Cadiz, back to Andalusia, but an away day at Cadiz would be really, really nice. And then either of the Asturias clubs, whether it's Oviedo or Gijón, I visit. I think it'd be cool to go to there because I believe it's such a beautiful part of the country. And there's a bonus one, definitely Cartagena away, because it's happening. It's absolutely happening. I've got it booked already.
You wait for this trip.
Me and Luke on Valentine's Day, flying into Spain, hand in hand.
Oh, yeah, it is around then, isn't it?
That's what cemented the deal, Matt, when we mentioned it with Valentine's Day.
Hi. When he mentioned about swans out of towels and rose petals on the bed, I was like, oh, I'm in.
You convinced me to come by saying Hercules might be at home that weekend. So I'm like, oh no.
And I'm with you.
That's my idea of romance. So me and those floodlights, that's my idea of romance. What are your choices?
The three what I've gone for with the real mindset of I've got them penciled in. It all works for me to go to. So Racing Santander away in February, Levante with a hopeful double for Valencia maybe, and then a trip down the coast to Almeria to the beautifully named Powerhouse Stadium.
Nice. Well, I've got similar to you guys. I've got basically. I realized I did do a count this week of. I've got a list of the top 50 biggest cities in Spain, and I think I counted I've been to 36 of them, but a very high one I've not been to is Zaragoza. So Zaragoza is my number one, and obviously the famous Nets, etc. And Malaga seems to have a little bit of an alliance with their fans, so that'd be nice. Sporting Gijon, just because I've been outside their stadium. It looks a cool stadium. It's a historic stadium. I love Asturias. And then, yeah, it was a bit of a toss-up, really. I've not been to Cadiz. It's one of my favourite cities in Spain, but I've not been to the football ground, so it'd be nice to finally tick off the football ground. Cadiz or Eibar, basically. I do love the Basque Country. They'd be my top four, but we'll see.
Malinon as well, Matt. The only stadium to win an Oscar.
Oh God, I wasn't at this time.
Where did you find that? Where did you find that from, Nick?
I didn't do it this time, but yeah.
I think one thing what all the fans can take into consideration this season is, and I know me and Nick's spoken about it. There's a lot of airports around these kind of places. Yeah, there's a little bit more traveling as well, but I'm not saying it's easier to get over, but there's just a little bit more option than there was potentially last season.
Yes, we are much more spread out. I think it was you that pointed it out, Nick, that when you showed us the map of Segunda, it's all very coastal, isn't it? There's not much in the middle of Spain in Segunda.
No, nothing in Catalonia, and nothing in and around Madrid either, which is, bizarre to say the least, considering they are our hotbeds of football. But one for this season as well, Matt, is if you are going to La Romareda, get it done this season, because obviously it's another host stadium for the World Cup. And I've seen the concepts of this like modular stadium they're going to build whilst they do it. I don't think they're going to be able to have room to put the nets in the modular stadium either. So, though I'd love it if they did.
Got to go see those nets. Obviously, the reason I bring that up is, to be honest with you, Ferrol would not have been top of my list, but I've got my summer holidays, so I have the opportunity to go. So of course I'm going to go. That's where Malaga start. Is there any other games that jump out at you that kickstart this historic Segunda season?
For me, I wouldn't say jump out, but I'm excited for tonight's game, Granada Albacete, just purely because it is the first game of the season, and I just can't fucking wait to get going again. Yeah.
Is there anything you can't wait to get fucking going again, Nick?
I can't fucking wait to watch Eibar against Castellón, because I'm quite looking forward to seeing how, Dick's boys go up there and, set themselves amongst the Segunda pack, so to speak. But also, obviously, Eibar being the also-rans for the last few seasons, I think in the last 3 seasons, they've missed out on the automatics by a point and then have failed to make it past the semi-final spot of the playoffs. So, they'll be hurting. But this is, a team which are almost La Liga versus, the new kids on the block, basically, who are here to get things fucking started.
And I quite fancy Castellón in this. I do.
Yeah,
I do as well. I do.
I've got 2 games written down, and one of them is the one you've just said, Eibar against Castellón, just because I'm curious about Castellón, like how, we've all sort of tipped them for the playoffs because, we experienced them in the league last year and they were very good. And obviously we know about how they run and they've made good signings and we're very impressed with their manager. But the other one, it just feels like a proper...
I know what you're going to say. Yeah, 100%.
That's a proper, I don't know, that feels meaty.
And that's got sellout written all over it, surely.
That's, both northern Spain, not far apart. I like that one for some reason. But the one we'll be focusing on is Racing Ferrol. I believe throughout the season we're going to have Alex Fitzpatrick sort of giving us the lowdown on our opponents each week. We think he might be on holiday this time, Nick, or he's just come back. So you're stuck with our lighter analysis, we'll say this time.
Yeah.
We're normally a bit more prepared.
Well, I've got loads of random stuff written down. I wouldn't say it's analytical. It's just like, hey, do you remember this guy sort of stuff?
The first one I'll chuck at you, and you're going there, Matt, obviously. We're playing at the Estadio de la Maleta. Are we playing at the Suitcase?
No. But I have plenty to say about Amalata, so I'll start there. Have you been on the Wikipedia page for that stadium?
No.
It is mad. To the extent
it's like a sports city, isn't it?
Well, basically, I've even sent this to Adam Hurrey of Football Cliches, because they do a section on that of meaningless awards. Amalata, I worked out, by the way, Luke, in Italian means sick, to be ill. So
the sick suitcase.
Yeah, well, Maleta is suitcase. But they're very proud, or whoever has written on their Wikipedia page, that, do you know, in the ESSMA Stadium Industry Awards, this stadium won the 2024 award in the category of security and protection.
Ooh.
Not only does it just say that on the Wikipedia page, it describes the whole story of how they got to winning that award. It's mad. And they lifted the award at the Johan Cruyff Arena in Amsterdam. So,
I mean, that is one thing every team needs.
Yeah,
you never know, Matt. In Ferrol, you might get a good rub down.
Well, I was thinking,
not for a fault of trying, either, Luke. Not for a fault of trying.
Well, forgive my potty mouth.
I was thinking, shall I try a pitch invasion? But I don't know how secure and protected they are. I might get shot or something. But
I'd save that for Hihon away, Matt. By the sounds of this one.
But yeah, it doesn't look like the most interesting stadium, to be honest with you. It looks like
was it you who told me that when you were in Slovakia, there was lots of water polo stadiums?
Yeah, that's true.
Or I don't know if it's a stadium or whether it's just a pond. I don't know. I don't know the terminology, but it was something that was next to it. I was like, this is quite cool. A stadium that's got a giant lake outside of it. That's quite good. But then when you look closer, you can see that it's a water polo arena. Which was like, okay, I didn't know that was such a big thing, but here we are in Ferrol. I suppose it is a water-faring town. It's from my two facts outside of this is a history base. It was the home of the Armada once upon a time.
Go on,
and the Spanish Atlantic Fleet, and it's the birthplace of General Franco.
It is indeed. It even used to be called El Ferrol de Gallo, which basically means Ferrol of the leader.
Have you got that vibe of what you say, Matt? You're about half an hour away from Ferrol currently. Are you getting the Franco vibe as you're getting closer at all?
No, I think it's not something I'm going to bring up when I'm there. I think in Spain, it's sort of, you don't really talk about it. Alone there.
But it's still to this day is home to the. It's basically the Spanish equivalent of Portsmouth.
Well, you mentioned the other one,
the Atlantic Fleet.
You mentioned the other one. That the other big port city in Spain is Cartagena, actually. So, that was a Navy place. And again, you're right on the maritime thing. I did go down a Wikipedia hole because I love random Wikipedia pages. They're very boastful. On the Wikipedia page, it says the harbour for depth, capacity, and safety has few equals in Europe. So I don't know what this town's thing is with safety.
Oh, a very, very strict place.
Sounds like a very safe place to live.
Yeah. Anything football-wise, guys?
Football-wise, speaking of safety, I'd like to report a crime.
Okay.
A crime here. Last season, and I didn't watch too much Segunda football, but I did obviously follow harassing the Ferrol a little bit because they were kind of like really punching above their weight for a large part of the season.
Absolutely.
Obviously, now the parish of Julian Delmas as well, you know, who we sort of fell in love with in the relegation season.
Yeah.
Weirdly forgot about him, though, until I saw his name here. And I was like, oh, yeah, I liked him.
And he is there. But they had these lovely Lotto kits. Now, you know I'm a kit man. So they had Lotto as a sponsor. Like, you don't see it that often. This year, they've got rid of Lotto and they've gone for a generic green Adidas template. And it's absolutely dreadful. Like, don't get me wrong, even though it's got the Estrella Galicia 0% logo on it, which looks good on any kit, this just doesn't look right to me. And I think it's because they've gone from such a great, wonderful Lotto kit down to this store-bought piece of crap that is Adidas template. I was very disappointed they're not going to be playing in that Lotto shirt on Saturday.
Do you know what? I think I sent you guys a link. I listened to the They Think Kits All Over podcast, and every week it makes me more happy that we've got Hummel, because they say every week that if you've got Hummel, Macron, what's the other one they always mention? It might be Umbro. They say
Umbro.
If you're a lower league team, you get like a bespoke shirt, and like whereas Adidas and Nike don't give a crap about lower league, you know, unless you're an elite team, they're not going to give you anything special.
No, of course not. Just elaborating on what you said, Nick, then regarding Racing Club de Ferrol, they're actually second in the league until December.
Yeah.
And then I can't tell you too much about this guy, but by the sounds, they sold their best player, Vicente. He went into La Liga, and then Ferrol ended up finishing 10th in the league, which is still very, very creditable for a team what just came up. They have sold a huge amount of players this season, sold/contracts gone. And based on what I was listening to with Alex Fitzpatrick and the guys over at the Segunda show, they've replaced them with maybe not the kind of names what they were hoping for. So again, a bit of the unknown by this season.
Is Alvaro Vadillo still there? Because I saw him on
no, he's left.
I had looked through the team, and besides Julian Delmas, who Nick rightly said we all fell in love with, thought he was fantastic right back. The one name what jumped at me, he might be the worst player ever, but his name's fantastic. Francisco de la Manzanara.
Ah, yeah, I saw his name.
I just thought his name sounds cool as fuck.
No, they got Cheeky. Cheeky from Alcorcon.
They signed Cheeky, yes, they did.
Cheeky, yeah, they got Cheeky in there. They had last season as well that ex-Spurs goalkeeper, didn't they? That Gazaniga, who...
No, he's at Girona. He's number one for Girona.
Is he?
Yeah. Gazaniga.
Nick, you're right. They may have his brother. I'm sure there's a brother.
Is that who it is?
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be the one.
We've played against his brother a couple of times, I remember.
Right, that's what I was like that thinking.
When you see Donnarumma playing in Serie C and you're like, no, that's his brother. It's kind of that kind of vibe.
I had no idea that Gazaniga was at Girona, to be fair.
Yeah.
But, I just assumed it was him because he wasn't that good at Spurs.
Yeah,
besides that, there's nothing I can add on the file.
Yeah, we won't go too much further in regards to analysis. I guess the thing we should perhaps say is, in a way, these guys are sort of our role models this season. And sort of
probably the right word. I'd say that's the perfect word for it.
And just quickly, I like a bit of football trivia. What Segunda record do they hold? Any ideas? I'll give you a bit of a clue. It sort of links to one of the questions asked earlier.
Well, I'm going to say based on security, you're either thinking clean sheets or bookings.
No.
That
in the history of the Segunda, like
the team that's been at the least.
Oh, you're sort of on the right track. You the wrong sort of end in a way.
Have they been in the Segunda the most?
Right, you're a bit closer now, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Okay, I'll
you're warm here.
I feel like I've gone from one extreme to the other. But
as far as I'm aware, they are the team that's been in the Segunda the most seasons without ever making it to the top league. I believe. I have read that somewhere.
With 17 clubs that were previously in their league, it probably stands to test me, really. But
Anyway, let's do a bit of Malaga since we are a Malaga podcast. Nick, what lessons do you think Pellicer should have taken from last year, and what do you sort of hope he's learned from our experiences down El Pozo?
I suppose this is quite loaded because there is a version of events where what should Pellicer have learned and what did Pellicer learn.
Okay.
And the former would be that, we need to be able to, operate at a much more higher intensity, work the ball in towards goal scoring positions a lot better to score more goals. I think that was the only thing that was missing from our season really last year. But if you ask me what did he learn, I'd say is the sweet end of nothing. I don't think he'll learn anything. I think he'll look at it and say he was justified that he managed to get promotion out of Primera. And I think he'll say we got the job done. Same again this season.
Okay, Luke, would you agree with that? Is there any lessons you've spotted that Pellicer might have learned?
I probably would agree with Nick. The one thing what I really hope he has learned is that plan A doesn't always work, and you need in this league a plan B, C, and D. I think last year we probably didn't change our tactics during the game as often as we maybe could have, where we could see us picking up 3 points and we'd have to settle for a draw or just really struggle to find it. Another thing you'd like, I mean, he's a very experienced manager. He's been in this league before. When we drop down to Primera, you're looking at it thinking, we believe Malaga should win every game. The fans, the club, everything. In this league, you haven't got that. So it's a bit of a weight lifted off the shoulders. They just need to use their heads. The easy way of saying it is use your heads. Don't overcomplicate things. Respect the points, as a great old Bolton manager once said. But yeah, we just need more ideas rather than just sticking to the same old. If it's not working, let's not be scared to change it.
Sam Allardyce gets mentioned on this podcast.
He has, and I think I've used him about 4 times.
But to be fair, we managed to get a lot of people telling us last season when, especially when we were being optimistic about things, is that, he's not the kind of manager to get you promoted. He's the kind of manager that helps you stay up. So I suppose, if that's the case, this is what we need.
Well, to be honest with you, like when I sort of thought how I'd answer this question, the first thing I wrote down is make sure the defense is good again, because that was...
Well, I would say, Matt, I started my answer with the exact same regarding the defense. And then I thought, is that being harsh because we had a great defensive record? But if you think back, the amount of chances what we gave to these bog standard teams, like we all said with our best player at season, we all picked on Alfonso Guerrero, and that there are reason behind that. In this division, we'll get found out.
I think for 70% of last season, though, like Nelson Monte and whoever played alongside him, and I thought Victor Garcia was really good, and Joaquin perhaps slipped a little bit towards the end of the season, but I think our defense was really good. And then, so what if we're relying on our goalie in the end? We've got a good goalie. Why not rely on him? That's sort of, it's not like a cheat code. It's like we've bought a good goalie. So I think get that right first, and then I still think we need to replace David Ferrero a little bit, but I don't know. I'll come on to this perhaps a bit more when we do our starting 11, my sort of idea there. And I guess the other thing for me is I don't think we're going to get top half, but I think we should be okay. The other thing I think we should learn from last year is just to stick with the youth again. I don't think they let us down. Like they are going to make mistakes, but I like our young players. I like La Rubia. I like Kevin. Ramon's coming back. Aaron Ochoa, like Danny Lorenzo. They're really good footballers. I'm happy to stick with them for a season.
It's fresh. It's exciting. It's fresh rather than getting the journeymen who've been here, there, and everywhere and not really played much. These guys are hungry.
And even like if you think of the Tarragona game, which to be honest with you, I basically spent my summer thinking of. There's been too many days where I'm in a bar in north of Spain or north Portugal this summer, and I've gone, shall I watch it again? Yeah, let's watch it again. But like on the pitch when we did it in the end, it was the kids really. Yeah. So yeah, that'd be my other thing is keep faith with them. I'm not. They'll get better. They're good footballers. which I guess perhaps leads us nicely into, and perhaps we can sort of start wrapping things up with this last bit. Starting 11 for our game in 2 days' time. So, Nick, do you have a solid starting 11, or you can vibe it if you want? I'll leave it to you.
Oh, if I was, sliding into Pace's shoes, I think, like you say, we've got to look at this as an opportunity to get a good win away from home, early doors. Obviously, Herrero picks himself. A back four, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Pastor and Monte get on together. I think Monte is obviously such a quality footballer that, really playing in the third tier of Spanish football was a bit beneath him. I think he's absolutely where he needs to be now.
Yeah.
I'd go with Puga over Joaquin at this moment in time. Victor at the left, Luismi and Molina in the middle, just with Lorenzo ahead of them. Kevin on the left, Labetti on the right, and then this is the one that's confused me. Do I go Rocco or do I go Dione? And my head tells me Rocco, but my heart says Dione. Let him have a crack. Okay. Let him see. Let's just see what happens.
Okay, well, I'll intervene there then, because you're very similar to me there. I've got Herrero. Of course, I got Herrero. I went Joaquin over Puga, but to be honest with you, take your pick there. I just like Joaquin. Monte, Pastor, Victor, Luismi, Manu Molina, Kevin. I've got Lobete on the right. My sort of wild card, and I think he's going to start. I've just got a feeling. I think Aaron might start. I think Pace is going to throw him in.
I would love that.
A lot pre-season. Like he is brilliant, isn't he, Aaron? Like when he has played, and he's quite tough as well. And it's sort of a bit of a wild card shout, but I've just got a bit of a feeling about him. I certainly think he will play a lot more this season than he did last year. And I'm happy. I hope, to be honest, I hope he starts. He's brilliant. And then I pretty much had the same thing as you, Nick, but I've just got a feeling about Dione. I've picked Dione. I just think he's going to stick with Dione to start with. He's going to give him a go, and then Rocco off the bench maybe. To be honest with you, when you said Danny Lorenzo, though, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about Danny Lorenzo. Maybe he will play instead of Aaron, but I think he's going to go with Aaron. I don't know why, just got a feeling. But Luke, what about you?
Yeah, I've got Herrero in the net, obviously. The same back four, Joaquin, Pastor, Monte, Victor, Luismi, who I think is really, really going to be key this season.
Yeah, to be honest with you, just quickly on Luismi, like when you said last week about him and listening to Alex Fitzpatrick talk about him, I've got very excited about him.
Yeah, he's very experienced and is such a good footballer. Manu Molina, I've got Danny Lorenzo in there, just doing more of the work. Julian Labete I can't say I've ever watched him other than a YouTube clip. I would like to think that this is the guy that we've been looking for. We've got a bit of excitement about him. See, I've gone with Rocco up front. I've left this guy to the side, Kevin. I've got Kevin to start, but I feel a bit harsh on David Larrubia because just reading reports, and he has scored 2 goals this pre-season. It looks like he's turned up to show for this season.
You don't have to pick Kevin because I'm here. Don't worry.
No. I thought this earlier, and to be fair, Kevin has also looked very good in pre-season. So
Kevin looks good. He's got an Invincibles tattoo, so he means business.
He has. The interesting thing to see what may come out of this, and I don't actually believe he's had any minutes or very little, is if on the bench. That'll probably say where Hitam's fitness is. I don't think he'll play any minutes, but if he's on the bench, it just fills you with that little bit, maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
To be fair, one of the things that really that was yanking on me a little bit was whether if we've got Ramon up to speed, and you've got Luismi, who we know is a top quality footballer at this level, who does he come out for? And unfortunately, I think it is Manu Molina. As much as it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
And I think that. Again, the idea of Luismi and Ramon playing alongside each other is, genuinely exciting. I think they are 2 players who would work as a perfect foil for each other. You've got the experience of Luismi with the product that Ramon brings, and I think he'd be good for Ramon as well. I think he's a good partner and a good mentor for him.
Do I? No, I'm not going to do it. I almost did the chant.
You looked very excited then, Mark. You look very excited. I thought, what's he going to do?
I've forgotten about the chant. I said twice.
Like you've just said there, Nick, Luis V. Sanchez and Ramon next to each other. There's not going to be many better centre midfield partnerships than them two if they can both stay fit.
If they can both stay fit. I really want Matt to sing the song now, though.
Yeah, go on, Matt, do it.
I'm staring at Matt on the screen going, come on, just do it. Get it out of the way now.
Louise me till I lose control.
So 5-3, La Rosaleda, get ready to be chanting this in this season.
Yeah. Louise me.
It's quite complex. It's actually not out loud. It's not as easy to say. In my head, it sounded better. Yeah, just quickly then, guys. I think we've got starting 11 covered there. We should have perhaps mentioned in the start, actually, that Ramon, I believe, is back in training as well.
Yeah, not full, but
because he is the king. How important is it making a good start here? Because I'll just say my bit here. I'll happily take a draw in Ferrol. I believe they've had like their team dismantled, but obviously they're quite a good team or have been a good team. For me, the home game against Mirandes is much more important, and winning there against a team which is struggling to get players. By the way, I don't know if you've been on Mirandez's Wikipedia page. I'm really talking about Wikipedia a lot, I've just realized. But their squad list on Wikipedia is 16 players. Is it 9? All of them are in red, apart from one blue lit player. We need to be beating a team full of red Wikipedia entries.
I think if anything, it's very key for a positive start, just to keep the negativity out of the changing rooms. It's one of the biggest things in football. And if we can go to Ferrol, and again, I'm same as you, Matt, I would 100% take a point anywhere on the road this season. So to start off with points on the board, see a video of yourself having a certain P word, that will get us off to a very good start in my eyes.
Yes.
Well, the run up to the season, really, the opening games, is the Alex Ashmore relegation fixture list, because we're playing basically, with the exception of Cordoba, every team that he has nodded for the relegation up until we get to Granada as well. So you're looking, Ferrol away this weekend, Mirandes at home next weekend, Albacete, who surprisingly people are tipping for relegation. And then the other side of Cordoba is Huesca, who, I think have run out of lives as well in this league. I've popped Huesca down for getting relegated too.
Yeah,
I've only just noticed we're playing 9:30 at night. I thought we were playing at 9 o'clock. That's.
I think there's two. Is Mirandes and Albacete? They're both.
Yeah, they're both. Bloody Andalusian heat. Anyway, I think that's enough previewing, guys. Is there anything we need to plug?
A little bit of bad news. Unfortunately, this weekend, and maybe game 2 and 3, Nick, would we say?
Well, maybe for the whole season, Luke.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, because there is a market for us there. However, we need to explore how we're going to watch the game first before we can do a live stream talking about said game. So whether it's through, a certain company's betting out with a tiny little screen in the corner where we can go in, Kevin's on the ball. Is it Kevin? Or whatever it may be. Or if we can find a workaround. Well, if we can find a workaround, but I think that's until a time, even though we advertise more live streams on our little teaser, I think live streams are maybe on hold until we figure out a way to fix this, or until a time that La Liga pull their thumb out of their arse and sort something out for us.
Yeah, that being the main thing. But for anybody not actually watching the game, everyone else is on holiday doing their own things. Matt's obviously at the game. I will be doing a minute by minute on our socials on X or Twitter, if we call it that. So you can still keep
it. Makes you feel better. I'll be watching the game this weekend because it's on telly here. So
I'll be watching it no matter what.
I'll live stream it to you, Luke, and then we'll go from there. But I think we have a workaround. I just need to be at home to see if it works. That's the thing.
People just keep your eyes on the Geary Cast, or if you've got any queries, message it, because we have got a couple of things lined up regarding where you can watch it. It's just we probably don't really want to be shouting it out on here.
No. So go and join the Telegram group.
Betting app. Or Nick said betting app.
Yeah, just I guess since they are going to be helping us this year. I'll say it again. If you want more sort of rounded coverage of what lies ahead for Malaga, definitely go and listen to the Spanish Segunda's preview show. They're very good. 2 hours worth of analysis of every single team, which I really enjoyed listening to this week. We have Chris Marquez doing a video of walking from Benalmádena to Malaga. If a Dutch-Spanish guy walking across the coast is your thing. He promised to do it in a live stream, which I wasn't part of if we got promoted. So that's there. I'm going to plug the last episode of Platini Played for Kuwait, because we did the best of our season, and the last bit is me talking about Antonito's goal. If you want to hear me basically have a little battle with myself not to cry, because there was genuinely quite
I was laid on the sunbed in the Costa del Sol when I listened to it, and even I felt a bit teary. I felt you were coming then.
Yeah. I had to ask my brother to talk at one point. I can't remember. I asked him a question just so I could myself, but yeah, I think I can talk about the Antonito goal now without crying. I think we're new season. I think I've just about recovered. I don't think there's anything else to plug. Go follow the Giricast on YouTube, Twitter /X, Instagram. I know you guys mentioned it last week, but we've had a lovely little makeover over the summer, and it all looks very pretty. You know, you guys are more in tune with that stuff than me, but it does look very pretty. So I don't know if you like pretty blue social media pages and a Segunda football team, go check that out. But otherwise, I will say to you guys a farewell from sort of Ferrol. So thank you, Luke Chambers.
Thank you as always, mate. Enjoyed it. We are well and truly back. Enjoy your trips, guys. Vamos Malaga.
Vamos Malaga indeed. And thank you, Nick Bell. Enjoy the rest of your time on the real Costa of Spain.
Sí, gracias, amigo. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. And thank you guys for listening. As I said, go and check us out on social media, etc. Tell your friends about us. And I'll say adios and vamos Malaga.